Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. He's Jim the Bag. I'm Peter Loshak. This is a live show we do every morning at 10:30 Eastern Time. Today is Wednesday, October 18th, and Jim and I had a very slight losing day on Monday, and all the haters were getting excited. They were thinking that Jim and I were about to embarrass ourselves, go on a streak. We were going to have a losing streak, and they were hoping for a big losing day on Tuesday, right?
They were hoping.
Ha ha. Ha ha. We won. Haters, you lose. We won. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Jim went 10-5, up 5 units yesterday overall. I went 6-2, up 4 units overall. Jim continues fucking with the MLB playoffs, which is, that's fine. He enjoys it. I stay out the MLB playoffs, but in hockey, nailed it. I went 5-2, up 3 units. Jim 8-4, up 4.5 units, and we both nailed our NBA picks. Jim nailed the under in the Cavs game, and I nailed the first half over. And finally, even because I was a little bit shell shocked from having a bad NBA record last year, but I was like, no, you know what? Have some friggin' balls. Now, if I had come in here and that game had went as it did, and I didn't have the balls to give the pick, I'd be so annoyed at myself. What did I do? This is a lesson for you, Jim, and all the gamblers out there. You focus, do your due diligence, and then have some balls. And I felt nervous about it, but I was like, and what did I say? I said, we've seen this before. When the Warriors come out and hit the 70-point first quarter. You remember when I said that?
Yeah.
And what happened? 70 points, 69 points in the first quarter. Congratulations, Jim.
Congratulations, Pete. Feels good. Making people cash. That's what we want to do here.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Now we got today's card. Of course, this it never ends, Jim, because today's a tough situation. Yesterday, 2 NBA games. We had a great read on them. Today, 11 NBA games and some tough handicapping situations. I mean, certainly a lot of interesting situations. I had a lot of fun looking at these games. Not sure if I'm going to have a whole lot of fun giving picks on them because I'm, not exactly sure what to expect from a lot of these situations. But let's just start off with the NBA segment of this show. 11 games tonight, and Jim, let's just start off with hit us with the pick that you think is the most interesting to you right now.
Most interesting, I guess the most exciting is I'm going to take the Bucks to cover against the Celtics tonight. We all watched what happened to Gordon Hayward last night, and it was difficult to watch, and my heart goes out to him and all Celtics fans. It will be interesting to see how the Celtics handle the adversity. Kyrie, Brown, and Tatum need to do the heavy lifting. But this Bucks team and the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo is not going to care that the Celtics are hurting. And I like this team. They're a tough group. I like Maker. I like Monroe at the 5. I like Brogdon, Snell, Middleton are nice pieces. I expect a lot of this team. I'm going to be curious to see if there's a Celtics letdown. And the line has changed in a way I was not hoping. It's all the way down to 3.
So you were hoping that Hayward would be injured and they'd be like, go ahead, take 5.5, whatever the hell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought, I guess at a 3-point line, it might make more sense. Now, we do have a 5.5 line somewhere. We have it here at wagers.
At WagerWeb, right? And that is an error in SBR odds, and unfortunately, we're not allowed to take the errors in SBR odds. If we could, that would make SBR odds massively valuable, to put it mildly. But unfortunately, you cannot.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't make sense to take the 3 points, so I'm just going to take the money line.
The money line. Oh, the money line. Okay. Yeah. Let me just find out what that is. And damn it. All right. I'm going to have to because I have to sign in. Damn it. All right. Hold on one second. I'm having I'm just going to have to do a little bit of all right. So the money line. You're going to take the, let me just, God damn it.
Getting a plus 133 at Pinnacle.
Yeah.
It's the best one that I'm seeing out there. I don't know if you can find something better.
I just need to, because SBR odds is customizable, but only if you're signed in. And for whatever reason, when I loaded up SBR odds today, I was not automatically signed in as I was. All right, the best line would be plus 133. Yes, at Pinnacle, Milwaukee, Boston, plus 133 at Pinnacle, Jim.
And that's what I will be taking. And I'm not sitting here very confident in that pick, but I just think that I'm curious to see how the Celtics bounce back. It's tough going back-to-back early in the season. We saw that in hockey. The first 4 or 5 times we saw teams on back-to-back, they lost the second half of a back-to-back. And I'm on the Giannis Antetokounmpo wagon. I've got him at plus 900 to win MVP this year.
Yeah. Well. Oh, really? Oh, nice. I mean, definitely. The Bucks are a team on the rise with a ton of talent, and they were a team that I was actually pretty successful betting on last year, as well as the Sixers. That was one thing that I did well last year. I took the Sixers as a huge underdog. Remember last year they were covering a lot of those huge underdog spreads. Team with a lot of talent. All right, so we'll start you off with the hold on. Let me just. We'll start you off, Jim, with that pick, and now let's go to the Sixers game, because I was thinking that once again, starting off the year, they're maybe getting a little bit, even though everyone knows how much talent they have and how much potential they have. Washington, a quality team, but once again, the Sixers catching 7 points feels like last year all over again. Just maybe a few too many points to be given them, right? What do you think?
I studied this game very closely. Mm-hmm. The Wiz kept their nucleus together in the offseason. I think that's going to help teams that have done that, and there's a bunch of them in the NBA. Otto Porter made the big jump last year. Markieff Morris provides much-needed toughness, and he's out of the lineup. Right. That's going to hurt them. But we know that if Joel Embiid can stay on the floor, then look out. Now, they have said that they will only play him for 16 minutes.
Sure, but they got a lot more than him, though. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. I don't know what you mean fully. I think he is their everything. I really do. With Embiid on the floor, the Sixers outscored their opponents by 3.2 points per 100 possessions. They allowed just 99.1 points per 100 possessions when he was anchoring the defense. That mark was better than the number 1 ranked Spurs last year. After saying all that, they only went 13-18 with him in the lineup. Jahlil Okafor had the league's worst net rating last year of minus 14.5 points per 100 possessions. Embiid is very upset about only playing 16 minutes. He's very upset about it. So maybe he can squeeze a few more minutes out. But until I know he can play 25 minutes a game, I'm going to stay away from the Sixers.
All right. I mean, they got Simmons and Fultz, and so they just got a lot of young talent. And you're right; it's not exactly clear which of that talent will pan out and be live up to live up to the hype and the expectations. But that is a tough one. But I will make that one an official pick, and it will be a +7 minus 105 at Pinnacle, best line, and bookmaker BetDSI +7 minus 105. You feel like that's a little bit of a mistake there, Jim, or?
No, I don't. And I was humming and hawing about this game for a long time. I need to know that Embiid's going to play more than a quarter and a half of a basketball game.
I think that the fact that his minutes are limited means that he's going to be, motivated to play super well than the other guys, I don't think they're going to win necessarily. I'm just saying they're catching 7 points, right?
Well, we got some interesting notes here, even in our forum right now. Some people believe they got a lot. Some people don't.
Yeah.
The Okafor isn't playing.
Right.
But the Delta says 76ers are deep.
Yes.
Robinson Yepes says Fultz is struggling coming off the bench. They are deep but have no chemistry, says Justin Searcy.
Right. And those are all obviously very good points, and points that I considered. They're deep with potential, not deep with realized talent, obviously. And yes, I know Fultz has a shoulder injury, and Simmons has no offense, though. Okafor isn't playing. It's all true, all about Embiid. Embiid is on a minutes restriction. Yes. Listen, I'm going to take look, I'll take him at +7. It might be a loser. I'm notoriously bad at NBA long term, but I'll start out, just with that. Justin Searcy saying, "Name the scores." Yeah, you're right. Good points. I can't put my money on them just then. Justin Searcy, they are deep. Justin Searcy making a lot of anti Sixers comments, and I'm not really feeling good about my pick now, but I made it. I'll go with it, and I'll stick with it. Why don't we shift the focus here and go to you, Jim? Why don't you hit us with a pick in the NBA?
Sure. I've got a pick here, and I'm going to take the Mavericks on the point spread to defeat the Hawks. I'm excited to start the Dennis Smith Jr. era in Dallas. Cuban says he's the fastest player in the league. We know Carlisle doesn't love young talent, so it'll be interesting how many minutes he gets to play. Seth Curry's hurt. But But Matthews, Harrison Barnes, Nerlens Noel, I mean, this is a better Mavericks team, and we got Dirk Diggler coming back for a 20th season. I think this Hawks team is going to be awful. Schroeder will have a lot of speed at the 1, and I'm interested to see Dedmon start at the 5, but that's it. They're going to be really bad.
Yes.
Mavericks have been, good at home. They were good at home last year, even though they had a bad squad, 33 and 49, I believe. But I just think this is a good spot. I think Mavericks at home, I think they're going to destroy them.
Yeah, I was thinking that way myself. I'm just pulling up my my NBA picks here because I can't even remember which ones I like. Yeah, I did take that one, and I also took the over on that one. I know that Dallas is that Atlanta's going to have some issues scoring. Probably, but I'm agreeing with you. 6 points is kind of a lot, though, but not enough to push you off of it, huh?
No, and I'm comfortable with the 6 points.
Okay, -6, -103 at Pinnacle is the best line for now, and I was definitely leaning that way. And I was also thinking about just the Dallas team total over because I was leaning Dallas, towards the over anyway. And let me find what that would be at Pinnacle right now. 101. What do you think about that, Jim?
I like it. I like the Dallas over 101. I think that's a sharp move.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure that if they're likely to win by a margin, then they're probably going to get to 100. I'll put that one as a pick as well at Pinnacle over 101 -110. Dallas Mavericks team total over.
I'm going to tail that action.
Really?
I think that's a very sharp move.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we won't get burned by that one. And just one word of caution. In all sports so far this year, Jim, of course, I have been killing it, absolutely on fire. Long-term tailing my NBA picks has been a colossally stupid thing to do. So just keep that in mind.
Well, I'm going to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, right. All right. So hit us up with another one, Jim. What else do you like here?
Okay. I've got some people around the office didn't like this play. I believe in this Memphis Grizzlies team. I have them in the over at the 37.5 season win total. I took some people didn't agree with that call. I like the Grizzlies tonight. And I'm going to take them. I don't know why everyone is down on this Grizzlies team. I love Conley and Gasol at the 1 and the 5. Right. Yes, Tony Allen is a big loss. It'll be strange seeing him in a Pelican uniform. But Zach Randolph is old and slow. Fitzgerald wants to change the tempo, and now he's going to be able to.
Right.
This Pelicans team has no depth whatsoever. Rondo's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. The Pelicans look like they're going to start Ian Clark at the point. I don't know how that's going to work. Is Jrue Holiday ready to step up? I don't know. Can Darius Miller be a starting 3? I don't know. I don't think so. I like the Grizzlies. I like the Grizzlies a lot here. This Pelican team has no depth after Cousins and Davis. And I know the preseason is nothing, but they just beat them by 40.
Right.
I know that they didn't have a very good preseason until that 142 that they put on them. But I like this Grizzlies team. And now I could be making a mistake because I was so successful with them last year.
Right.
We will see that, and we'll be consciously aware if that's happening. But I really like it. And I'm going to take the Grizz. And let's see what my best move here is.
Memphis Grizzlies. Well, let's see. The best line that I'm seeing would be minus. Well, you could get -3 + 102 or 2.5 -110.
What about Heritage here? -2.5 at -105.
Nope, that's -110. We don't use their. That's like a the 5 dimes lines. We don't use their ridiculous. Yeah, the 10 cents lines. Okay. I mean, they put them up at SBR odds, but that's only if you don't take any of the other bonuses and stuff. So
I will get better at recognizing that. My fault. And I will take -2.5 at -110.
Okay, -2.5, -110. And I was thinking about. I understand your thoughts. It's a very, very interesting game. I was thinking, as you mentioned the pace, and I actually made the over on that one of my top picks on my account. What do you think about that, Jim? It's a little bit of a high total, but as you said, they already played a preseason game that went soaring over. What do you think about the over at 206.5?
I think that is a good move. I do question New Orleans' pace. So I think it is a good move, though. I think it's safe to say that the Grizzlies are going to be running. And Holiday can move the ball quickly. Ian Clark is a speedy guy. So I think that's a good play.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right. I'll think about that one. I'll hold off on it for now. A lot of other interesting games for sure. I don't know if you looked at Portland Phoenix. Did you look at that one at all? Or
Oh yeah, I've got
that's a
them all.
very interesting one, obviously, right? Phoenix, a lot of youth and a lot of excitement there. Supposedly they're going to be playing a lot of a fast-paced game, trying to hit a lot of threes and a lot of youth, and just an interesting team to start the season. And Portland, of course, also a team that has high hopes for the season, looking good. Although, as we know, McCollum is out. That's an interesting game. I was thinking maybe a surprise upset by Phoenix here. What do you think?
Wow, that's an interesting call. I like the Suns, and I had them to go over in their win total last year, and they didn't even come close. I love Devin Booker and this young nucleus they have: Josh Jackson, Dragan Bender, Marquise Chris. These are kids. These are teenagers.
Yes.
Like, how are we gonna? I don't know how they're gonna. I mean, they're gonna slowly turn the team around, but I don't think it's gonna be a quick move up the standings. I'm excited about the Blazers. A full year of Yusuf Nurkic, and he lost 30 pounds in the offseason. The Blazers were 14-5 last year in games he started. But McCollum loss is big, and the Suns are going to be running, and they're going to have a lot of hope. I mean, I like it. Would you take the spread, or would you take the money line on that?
I don't know. It's mostly just an interesting game that I am looking at. I mean, I definitely have the Suns circled as a team that at some point I think this year is going to have clear and sustained line value. It might not come at the beginning of the year. In fact, maybe it's more likely to come in the middle or the end of the year, because they have a young, as you said, all those young guys probably are going to be a little bit, getting their feet wet to start the year, and then as the malaise sets in for some of the veteran teams later in the year, that's when they'll be really coming into their own. So
there's a lot of talk about the over here on the forum. It seems like a whole bunch of guys are hammering the over, and I get it.
Yeah,
I understand why that would be a move. I really want to watch this team play.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how the Blazers handle no McCollum.
Yeah, it is a very high total, but again, it'll be we know what the Suns are expected to do here, and they should have the horses to do it. People are people are asking about the Spurs. That's an interesting situation, obviously, because no Kawhi Leonard, but the Spurs, first of all, they're getting younger, and second of all, if you didn't learn this 7 years ago or 5 years ago, you should learn it now. Whatever you give Greg Popovich, he winds up doing something with it, and always scary to bet against the Spurs. And actually, when there are roster reasons to not like them so much, I feel like that's when they have the most value. You have anything to say about the Spurs?
I think you're right. I think they have the most value without Kawhi. I like the Spurs here. I came very close to making this an official pick, and I held off. I'm extremely excited to watch the Wolves play. I'm from Toronto. I've been living in Toronto lately. I'm from Canada, from Vancouver. But Andrew Wiggins is a hero of ours, and now they've got guys around him: Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson, Jamal Crawford, Jeff Teague, and already adding that to Karl Anthony Towns. Now, my feeling is these teams who made huge moves on the offseason will have difficulty being a cohesive unit, but we saw the Rockets handle that with ease last night. So maybe that's not the right foot to stand on. I think the Spurs are giving you a lot of value right now.
Yeah, that is a tough one. And I'll tell you, Minnesota, you talked about before yesterday about how in the NBA, your reads on teams, good or bad, often define your seasons. And I felt like my read on Minnesota was a little bit off last year, because I was expecting them to be more consistently, better and undervalued than they actually were. I felt like there were a lot of situations where I expected them to be a good bet, and they kind of let me down more often than not.
It's funny you mentioned that. I had the exact same problem with the Wolves last year. I had higher expectations, and they kept letting me down, and then I stayed completely away from them in the second half because I just had no idea what was going on. And I don't know how Jimmy Butler is going to fit in. I mean, there's only one ball on the court. I'm very curious to see how they handle all this.
Imagine if we were doing the show with only one mic. It would be a totally different situation,
well,
right?
We'd be sitting closer, though.
Give me that. All right. Yeah, it is tough. You these guys all have big egos. They all have to learn to play with each other. And that's kind of like why Popovich, I think, is so great, is because he finds guys who he knows. He has a sixth sense for knowing who's going to do well in his system, and a lot of times those guys are not big name guys, so he's not putting together a bunch of 20-year-old phenoms and then having it all fall apart. He puts together a bunch of 28-year-olds that you never quite heard of, and just they somehow get it done. Or like 36-year-old veterans who, seem like they should have been out of the league a couple years ago and somehow still contribute a solid 18 minutes. Like, damn, he just gets it done. So, yeah, that's an interesting game. I'd be leaning Spurs as well, but there's no way I'm going to bet it. It'll be interesting to see how they develop this year. All right, what else do you want to – any other picks you got for us, Jim? We don't have to touch on every game, but any other picks you want to talk about?
Yes, I have one more pick, and I probably should have opened it with it. I just didn't think it was as exciting, but it's the pick I like the most.
Okay.
This is my official pick. I have the Pistons tonight at home to defeat the Hornets. I'll take the line's beautiful. I love the spread.
Yeah, just 3, and it moved down a little bit actually from an opener of 4. It's just 3. The best line we would give you would be 3 minus 105 at Bookmaker Bet DSI.
-3.
Minus 105.
Minus 105. I love it. I think Avery Bradley is a really nice addition to this team, led by a big man, Andre Drummond. You have an on-ball defender, and you have a rim protector. I just think this is going to be nice. I think that there's going to be value in the Pistons this year. I bet you their defense is really strong, so we might find some unders that we can hammer.
I was thinking about under in this one, actually. What do you do? If you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I see why you would think that. The Hornets are going to look really bad out of the gate without Batum and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I don't know how Kidd-Gilchrist is dealing with a personal matter, so he should be back soon. And Dwight Howard is on yet another new team. This guy gets passed around like the girls at the Hotel Del Rey. I think that the Pistons are going to be valuable. And as you can see right here, I got my Pistons only the Detroit, only the strong survive shirt. I love the city of Detroit. I love the state of Michigan.
Detroit.
And I think the Pistons are going to give us a lot of value this year. And
you love Detroit, huh? Why you love Detroit?
I love the city. When I first stepped foot in Detroit, I could see sort of the struggle, and I felt instant compassion for everybody that was still living in the city and all those people who paid mortgages for so long and then found out their houses had no value. I felt instant compassion for all the people in the city, and there's some restaurants there I love, and it was my absolute pleasure to go down there. I tried to get down there once a month, and I love going to Comerica Park, and I can't wait to go to the new stadium that the Pistons are opening up tonight. That's another big thing, and we saw what happened when the Red Wings opened up that building. They won easily. I'm going to ride the Pistons early.
You know the classic Detroit anthem, It's So Cold in the Deep? You know that one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, great song. Great. It's so cold in the deep. How the fuck do we supposed to keep peace? You know that song. Great song. Classic. I agree with you. I actually have some friends who live in Detroit, and they love it right now. They say, and they're like upset. They're like worried that it'll get ruined somehow if the rich people come. But I have some friends who absolutely love Detroit right now. All right, so -3, minus 105. I was thinking about the under and maybe the Charlotte team total under. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good move. Now, people on the forum don't agree with me. Delta 75 says the only team Bucks beat in the preseason was the Pistons because they suck. And if you value the preseason in the NBA, you're going to lose a lot of money.
All right. Well, yes. That's a tricky game. I would be leaning Charlotte team total under. -3, minus 105 though is a line we're going to give you, Jim. I think I'm going to take it kind of easy on this one. I've already given Philly, which I'm already feeling very nervous about. I am with you on Dallas on the team total over, and I might just stick with those two plays. You've got a bunch of plays going, Jim. Anything else you want to add?
No, those are my 4 official plays.
Okay, review them just so it's clear, just so everyone remembers.
Absolutely, I will. So my first play was I'll just go down in order. So I got the Pistons -3 at minus 105. I got the Bucks on the money line at plus 133, and I'm nervous. I'm very nervous about that call. I've got the Grizzlies at -2.5 at minus 110. I'm very confident in that one. And then finally, I have the Mavericks -6. Oh, I have 5 plays. Sorry, -6 at minus 103. And then I have the team total over that I rode with you on, over 101 for the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm on Philly +7. Again, I am now feeling pretty nervous about that one, but we'll see. And I'm also on the Dallas team total over. And I guess my leans that I'll stay off on would be the under in the Charlotte-Detroit game and the Charlotte team total under. Man, I'm really kind of liking the under 203.5 in the Charlotte-Detroit game. You think that's a little bit of feedback if you can, just to help me, because I don't want this to be like one of the like the Golden State game where I just don't have the balls to give it and then it cashes and I'm whining and complaining tomorrow.
I think obviously the problem with the Pistons is they're 2-3-4, and so they're not going to be scoring a lot. And if Reggie Jackson steps up and shows he can be an elite player in this league, I would be surprised.
Mhm.
He's enigmatic. He plays when he wants to play. And then we know that the Hornets without Batum and Kid Gilchrist are going to have more trouble. And Howard is going to be banging down low. Howard and Drummond are going to be banging down low. They're going to be getting fouled a lot. They're going to be missing foul shots. I like your call on the under. I think it's a good call. I really do.
Okay, and then final thoughts once again on the over in New Orleans, Memphis. I was thinking about that one. Do you think that that's just an overreaction to reports of Memphis playing a higher pace?
You know, that is a good question. I feel like we need to see it before we can start hammering it. We know that it's what Fizdale's wanted to do, but we need to see it. And then the other problem is I don't know who's going to distribute the ball for the Pelicans. With Ian Clark there, I mean, isn't he pretty much just an outside shooter? I don't know who's going to be passing the ball around. So if I was going to pick between the two, which I like the best of those two leans, I would go towards the under in the Hornets Pistons over the Pelicans and Grizzlies. But I like them both. I think those leans you're having those leans for a reason.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first half under in the Charlotte-Detroit game. It's 102.5 or 103. Heritage has 103 minus 110, so I'll take that one. First half under 103, Charlotte and Detroit. So that makes 3 plays for me. Philly plus 7, Charlotte-Detroit first half under 103, and the team total over for Dallas. And Jim, you got 4 plays, right?
I got the 5 because I've tailed you on the over 101 with the Mavericks team.
Okay, so Jim's got 5 plays. I've got 3 going in NBA, and I guess we can wrap up the NBA segment, right? I guess should we look
sure,
at
unless there's any games that you guys want us to break down?
Yeah, Delta. A lot of comments, Delta, because a lot of people in here follow the NBA very closely and have great comments. Delta, that's what I'm thinking. Delta 75 saying it's possible Memphis wins like 111-90 and kills them. Yeah, which is why I was thinking about the Memphis team total over instead, which is 104 minus. Oh man, that is tempting. 104 minus 109 for the Memphis team total over. Ooh, that is tempting. Yeah. What do you think? All right, I guess let's just yes, and there you go. Delta 75 said Memphis team total over, maybe. All right, you know what? I will. Because he gave such a interesting, such good comments there. Gosh, what do you think? Memphis? I mean, you love Memphis, and you think they're going to get it done offensively, right?
I do think they're going to get it done offensively, but I need to see this faster pace. You know, I like the Memphis this year. I think we're going to get value with Memphis this year. So I see it. I get it.
All right, that's it. I won't take it. I'll just take the 3 picks that I just gave. Jim's got 5, and let's wrap up the NBA segment. Of course, this is going to be going on all season long. A hell of a lot of hemming and hawing about is that too many points? Because the NBA is so tight. You know what I mean? Some team you're like, ooh, team total of 103.5, or getting 6.5 points on. It's really stressful. Let's move on though. Let's move on to NHL. Only 3 games tonight, and there was only 1 game that had overnight lines. Of course, Jim and I coming off of just a massively successful day in the NHL, and up a whole bunch of units. Each of us was up like 3 or 4 units yesterday, something like that. And I actually, let's just start off the NHL segment with a little bit of I'm not that great at self-promotion, Jim, but I am trying to get better at it. So let's start off this segment by reading our year-long records in the NHL, shall we?
Sure.
Think about that. My record, 17-11, average line of plus 110. That's hitting 61% at dog lines, plus 8 units, plus 26% ROI. Jim's record overall on the year, 22-14, average line of minus 109, plus 6.5 units, ROI plus 15%. Not too shabby. All right, let's see what we can do tonight. Only 3 games, and the 1 game was an interesting one, Chicago and St. Louis, but I have no play on that one because I think it could go either way. I like both of these teams, and obviously Crawford's great in goal, so I could see an over or an under. So I had nothing to say about that. I'm not going to give a play on it. And then the Detroit and Toronto and Montreal LA games didn't have overnight lines, so I didn't look at them. Obviously, Toronto is awesome, so again, until further notice, with any game with Toronto, you're thinking puck line and over with them, right? Or what do you think?
Well, I finally jumped on the Leafs over last night and lost, but I've got a big play here. I think that this young Leaf squad, and we saw that when they lost to the Devils 6-3, this young Leaf squad put so much energy into breaking the curse in Montreal, beating them in overtime, then exercising the demons, beating the Capitals, who took them out in the first round of the playoffs. And the Red Wings have been sitting in Toronto, resting, licking their chops. I think there's a nice number here on the Red Wings money line, and I'm up enough in a comfortable situation where I can start making some stabs. And this is one I'm going to make an official pick. I'm going to take the Detroit Red Wings on the money line to upset the Toronto Maple Leafs this evening. I think these are two very emotional games the Leafs just got over. The Lightning beat them 3-2 with 2 power play goals. Detroit carried the play on the 5-on-5. They went 0 for 6 on the power play. I like the spot.
All right. Well, this is a situation where the usual suspects line, the best line comes from friend of the show, Intertops, plus 155. Intertops Pinnacle has 153. Bet Online has 153. The Greek has 150. Five Dimes has 160, but we don't use those is precisely for that reason, because it's a little bit of a not a market line. But the Intertops line does count as a market line, plus 155. Intertops.eu, or is it .com or .eu?
I think it's EU.
Yeah, it's the EU, right? Intertops plus 155 for Detroit, and that's an official pick from Jim.
Yeah.
All right. What about Montreal, LA? Anything to say about that, or a pass?
Well, no, I didn't think the Kings were going to get off to the best start in team history.
Right.
You guys know I bet them not to make the playoffs. But they're a slow, plodding team, and they've just called up a 6'7" grinder who's slow as well. Now, Quick looks very good. 1.74 goals against average. The big thing here is that Carey Price does not look good to start the year, and we're going to get our first look at supposedly, we're going to get our first look at Al Montoya this year, who is a really good backup. So, I think there is some value taking the Habs with Montoya. I'm not going to do it because I do not like the Habs. And anytime I think a young team plays a big team, a small team like the Habs, small forwards play a big bruising team like the Kings, they're just going to get beaten down. And Kopitar looks good after a really off season. He's looked 8 points, 3 multi-point games already. But I'm not going to make an official pick. I still don't think the Kings are a great hockey team, even though they started out so well. And I love seeing the Habs lose and want to see them lose more. And I think we'll have value betting against them because there's always going to be a lot of Canadian money on the Habs.
Yeah, and actually Delta75 making another comment that I agree with. He says, Montreal 2, LA 3, boring game. That's how I was leaning as well. I would be thinking about the under if there was a 5.5. There is a 5.5 at Heritage, but it's minus 145. Which is, and the others are 5 at plus 120. But yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Just without the lines, I was thinking if it was 5.5 at like minus 115, I'd take a shot with the under, but it's not. And I was thinking maybe a shot with LA if they were a little bit less of a favorite, which they're not. So this whole card's going to be a pass for me, and just one play for Jim on Detroit plus 155, right?
Yeah, I think this is a nice underdog stab. I'm looking forward to take it.
All right, let's move on to the MLB segment of today's show. Jim the Bag, 1-1 yesterday at MLB. Nice call with the under in the Cubs game, and then the Houston Yankees game. You had the first 5 innings over, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was. I look at that game. I have had games like that in MLB, and I'm thinking that you might not have been on the wrong side there. I mean, the game went over. It was nothing after the first 5 innings, and then the runs come. You see that a lot in baseball. It's arguable that you were on the right side there. Anyway, we got 2 games tonight. Pretty much as always, I am going to stay off of these games. I focus on everything else. I stay off of the MLB playoff game for 2 reasons. One, because I feel like just as baseball games go, there's the edges are much, the unpredictability is much higher and unpredictable in a way that I don't have a good read on. And second of all, there's so much else going on that I just wind up ignoring MLB playoffs for the most part. 2 games tonight, though. Yankees and Houston is now tied up 2-2. What do you think, Jim? You have a plan either of these games?
I am also staying away from these games. I'm curious to see, obviously Keuchel has the Yankees number in a big way.
Yes.
Huge way, including the playoffs. He's 6-2 with a 1.09 ERA versus the Yankees. And he's looked very good in 5 postseason appearances, 4 starts, 4-0, 1.69 ERA. So the big thing here, and the reason why I would lean towards the Astros if I was getting a better number, which I'm not, is that Tanaka just doesn't look as good on 4 days rest.
Right.
He has not looked as good on 4 days rest all year long. I thought his numbers were actually worse. I guess he only got 8 starts on 4 days rest, 5-3, 4.04 ERA. So he actually wasn't as bad as he's shown in the past on 4 days rest. But I think that the volatility in this series It's very difficult to really predict what's going to happen. Sure, I think Keuchel's going to shut down this Yankees team, but if there's mojo in any direction, it's all in the Yankees clubhouse. So.
Yeah. See, I was thinking the same way. I was thinking if I was going to give a pick here, it would be on Houston on the -1 line. It's not that bad of a line. They're just a very small favorite on the money line, and then the run line part of that would turn it into a small underdog line. So I was thinking about maybe just taking a shot with Houston -1 if I was going to take a shot with either of these games.
That would be where I was leaning. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean Keuchel, but then again, Keuchel has high volatility as well. Keuchel, as we've seen, can blow up at any given time. So it's a tough one. Let's see. Jesus Cabrera, like in the Yankees here, the Yankees crowd going to shack Keuchel tonight. Yeah, you might be absolutely true. Yeah, you might be absolutely right there. Yeah, all right. I'm going to let's see. Quick stat. Justin Searcy, 20-4 to the favorite. MLB playoffs been very enjoyable. Yes,
Wow.
I think he's saying that the favorites have been 20-4 in the MLB playoffs. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Justin Searcy saying Houston -1. He likes them as well. Yeah, Justin Searcy saying if Vegas favors them, bet on them. Yeah, and then Robinson Jepes saying Tanaka is from the motherland, though. He lives for moments like this. Yes, that's true. I believe he's from Japan, right?
He is.
They are sick motherfuckers in Japan. You know what they did in World War II? You did stories.
I shouldn't be laughing.
Oh my God, they have cold-blooded motherfuckers in Japan. Yeah, so Tanaka might be great. Yeah, great comment, Justin Searcy. Favorites 20-4 in the MLB playoffs. I was not aware of that. That is quite the eye-popping stat there, though, for sure. And it also sort of flies in the face of, a lot of people like, oh, I only bet underdogs in baseball, this and that, which is why sometimes they get tripped up in the playoffs because it's just like everything sort of reverses in the playoffs. I'd be leaning Houston there, but I will hold off on that one as well. So no picks for either of us for MLB, and that's totally fine. We've earned our right to give no picks in these two games with how many friggin' picks we give in all of these sports. All right, so that wraps it up for games today. Maybe I'll do a very quick football segment. I have no extra picks that I've added, except for two picks that I did add yesterday with my Al McMorty calls. I'll talk about that in a second. So we'll do a football segment right now. But let's quickly just sum up. So again, nothing in baseball from either of us. NHL, nothing from me, and you have Detroit. And then in the NBA, I've got 3 picks, and you've got 5 picks going, right, Jim?
That's right.
All right. So let's quickly do a quick college football update and NFL update. There were 2 picks that I added yesterday. They were the ways that I was leaning, and after discussing it with Al McMorty, I wound up going on them. And the one that I added yesterday in college football was USC +3.5 against Notre Dame. If you remember, Jim, the first thing people were asking about on Monday was the USC Notre Dame game, and I said I'm gonna have to look into that a lot more deeply, and I did. Al McMorty likes USC. I liked it. I gave it at the time it was 3.5 -101, and now it is. I'm assuming it hasn't moved much. Yeah, 3.5 -102 at Pinnacle. So yeah, obviously USC has been terrible this year. 1-5 or 1-6 ATS. Notre Dame's been great. ATS 5-1 or something like that. But Notre Dame's played a bunch of cupcakes, and then they played Georgia, which was a good game. They played Michigan State and beat them, but they got outgained there. And I think that Notre Dame's going to be a little bit more vulnerable here than the market and some people are thinking. And that game against Miami, Ohio, where all the sharps were like pounding the hell out of Miami, Ohio, including Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. I was on Notre Dame minus the points there and the over. The over went over in the first half. So I have a pretty good read on Notre Dame this year. And I like USC getting more than a field goal, enough to add it to my official slate of picks. Not necessarily, great lock of the week or anything like that. Obviously, Notre Dame could easily win this one in any manner of different ways, by 4, by 6, something like that. But USC +3.5 is the pick that I added. Justin Searcy saying Notre Dame should win. Jesus Cabrera saying Notre Dame. There we go. All right, let's see. All right, so Justin Searcy, USC hasn't covered but once all year. Yes, I'm aware of that. I added on USC, and then in the NFL, I also covered the Seattle game with Al McMorty, and Seattle, obviously the Giants, that was a wacky game last week. Remember that one? Not a lot of people saw that one coming. But they are still a flawed team that's banged up. Seattle coming off a bye. And I was leaning Seattle and this one. And when Al McMorty said that he liked Seattle, I wound up making that an official pick as well. So I added Seattle -5, minus 109 to my official picks, and now it's -5, minus 110. So both of those moved 1 cent from the lines that we gave in the show yesterday. But Seattle -5 is now added on to my official slate of picks in the NFL, Jim.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah,
I like that pick a lot. I will not. In what world? In what world will the Giants be able to run like they did against the Broncos? I just don't believe that Darkwa will be able to do that again. Now, Evan Ingram will step up. I mean, a tight end who can run 4.4 is very impressive. But the Seattle Seahawks team needs rest.
Yeah,
they're old.
Yes, and they're getting it.
And they're getting it. And I like them at 5.5 too. And yeah, I really like them at 5.5. I think.
Well, I mean, we're tracking your picks as well. Do you want to add that one on as your record?
I would absolutely love to add that on -5.5.
Well, we're going to give you 5. We're not going to give you 5.5. I got -109 yesterday. We're going to have to give you -110. That's the best 5 line I'm seeing right now at Bookmaker Bet DSI. But you want to add that one onto your official track?
I do. It will be one of my picks and beat the bag as well.
All right, -5, -110. Now your overall football record is not that great. 4-5. -1.5 units, -16% RI, but that,
I had a very bad week last week. I was in good shape until
you just decided to give a whole bunch of NFL picks last week and happened to have a bad week. But all right, so we'll add that one on. Look, I'm on that one as well. And all right, so and then before we wrap it up, let me just review for anyone who's not already aware the college picks that I have given so far this week, and maybe let's check if any of these lines moved. I did give Rutgers +8, and last I checked that has moved up, so that's not good. It's now like 9 or 9.5, which is understandable. Rutgers is a bad team. I'm not at all surprised by that line movement, and I might be on the wrong side there. Who knows? Bowling Green +13.5 was a pick that I gave. Illinois +14.5. Kent State +20. Someone in the other show thought I was saying Penn State +20. No, I'm not. I'm not. Look. Everyone knows that I have a lot of integrity when it comes to the lines that I quote. So I'm not trying to get away with taking a team that's -9 at +20 and just sneak it by everyone. No, not Penn State +20. Kent State +20. Ole Miss +7. And then yesterday I added Virginia -7. Ball State +3. Miami, Ohio -3. Maryland, Wisconsin under 52.5. Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech under 55.5. And Kansas, TCU under 59.5. And let me just give a quick once over to see if any of those lines have moved significantly. I don't think that'd be because of at the point of the week where we are. Probably there hasn't been a lot of movement. I'm just gonna the Rutgers line is 9 or 9.5, so that's not great, but it might come down. We'll see. We'll check it out. I am leaning Oklahoma State. It's now down. They're at 6.5. Is now down to 6.5. So I'm thinking about that one. I'm gonna be doing deep research later on, but that's a borderline play that I'm thinking about. Also, I want to pull the trigger on Florida State. There it has 6.5 or 7 against Louisville. I have to do my deeper research there, but that's definitely a side that I'm going to be looking into a lot closer and leaning. I also mentioned that I liked Toledo. That one hasn't moved yet. It's 14.5, so I'm going to be looking into that one a lot deeper. All right, the Virginia game could have gotten 6.5 today, so that's not so great, but hasn't moved that much. All right, let's see. What else? What else? The Bowling Green. Yeah, not a lot of line moves on any of these games at all. Just scanning them to see. Jim, you want to give a cut while I'm scanning these lines? You want to give any thoughts on the NFL that you have for this week, or have you not looked at NFL this week?
Oh yeah, I've got. We broke down every single game.
Really? Oh
yeah,
wow!
Last night on the Beat the Bag wrap-up show. But there was a lot of holes poked in the games I liked the most, and there were a lot of holes poked in my Seahawks pick. But now I'm curious.
I agree with you, Seahawks pick.
I'm curious to hear what you think of this, and I think that the Saints at -6 is a really nice spot, and then I got hammered by saying that, and I went into the show saying that's my best spot. I watched Huntley in UCLA. Now everyone's saying, "Oh, Jim Mora was a shit coach," and blah 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 blah. But sure, Huntley can move around. He can get outside the pocket and stuff like that. Sure, McCarthy is a great coach, but Breeze is firing on all cylinders right now, and I didn't think the Packers defense was that good this year. I think this is an easy spot. Am I simplifying things too much? That just seeing Huntley under center, that it's just too easy for me to take this?
Well, it's interesting because, first of all, the Saints have been a team that has been attracting sharp action more often than not this week. Brent has told us that a bunch of weeks the Sharps were on the Saints. You might want to watch the. I did cover this game specifically with Al McMorty, and Al McMorty's a guy you will not. If you watch a video that I do with Al McMorty, you will not come out of it thinking you wasted your time. We covered that game. Al McMorty said that he likes the Packers here, but not necessarily for the reasons that you might think. And actually, the Aaron Rodgers injury is a big issue for him, and he doesn't think that it's a market overreaction for the line. He thinks the line is where it should be. He likes the Packers for other reasons, and he's going with it despite the injury. So you might want to look at that, watch that video. It's a tough one.
Justin Emmert has a really interesting comment here, and this is the type of stuff I was getting hammered with last night. So he says the Packers are going to redesign the offensive style that Saints don't have film for. You know,
look, it's a tough one. I agreed with Al's analysis of Seattle, and I was on it myself. This game, as I told Al, I said my plan for this one is sometime like late Saturday night or Sunday morning. I'm going to take 45 minutes and look into it deeply, and might have a pick on it then. But my final decision on that game might not ever come, and if it does, it might come at like 11 a.m. Sunday morning Eastern time. It's a tough friggin' game. So all right. So I'm looking at the totals. Just quickly review the totals. Obviously, the Wisconsin total did move in my favor. It's now down to 51 or 50.5. That's nice to see. And Wisconsin's offense is more dynamic this year, so it makes me a little bit nervous. I did like the under last week though, and I'm liking the under again. And another pick that I'm not going to give yet, but I'm going to look into it deeply, is, again, the Iowa State-Texas Tech total, now down to a 68.5 at Bookmaker and BetDSI. And that one, again, the Texas Tech, I'm not sure why the total isn't in the 70s and why it hasn't gotten bet up there yet, although it might get bet up there at some point later on. And let's see, just scanning the totals, but that's definitely a total I'm thinking about. It's definitely a very interesting one. The SMU Cincinnati total on the over is one I'm leaning towards. It's 65. I'm going to do a little bit deeper research into that one, but we'll see. Kansas TCU total has not moved at all, still 59.5. And other totals that I'm thinking about. Oh God. Again, I mentioned yesterday that I was thinking about the Penn State Michigan over at 42, and now it's up to 44.5 or 45. So I missed that. I did bet it at 42, but I missed giving that one as an official pick. I might take it anyway at 44.5 or 45, but or I might take the Penn State team total over. But I'm definitely leaning Penn State minus the points in that one and the over. Liked it a lot more at 42 than where it is right now. But we'll see. And let's see what else. And I guess that's maybe about it for now as far as total is concerned. Not a lot of movement. I'm hoping to do a bunch more deep research today. I didn't get to do much deep research last night because I did have a pretty drawn out and protracted war with a roach in my house for a few hours last night. So that cut into some of my research time. The smart roach got behind one of the big pieces of furniture, and I was like, no. And I gathered all my resources, moved the furniture, and smashed the damn thing. But it took a couple hours out of my planned research last night. All right, so that's about it. So again, for football, it's a tough week. Not a whole lot of line moves. A bunch of things that I'm leaning towards that I'm going to do more research into. But as far as what I've added officially, only two: Seattle -5 in the NFL and USC +3.5 in college football. And that wraps up the football segment of this show, Jim. We're going up on 50 minutes now, so there we go. Delta 75 saying 27-17 Penn State. Stay at 42. Yeah, I'm leaning Penn State, and at right now, I guess I'm leaning toward Penn State more than I am the over. I think it's a good spot for Penn State. It's it's interesting that a team like Michigan is getting that many points against Penn State. I think there's a reason, and I'm kind of leaning Penn State. But again, not yet made it an official pick, although I did bet it. All right, that's about it. Another great show. A lot of I want to say one thing. First of all, Jim, you do excellent research. High five on that one.
Thank you.
Even if betting is part of the reason I'm so good at betting, or had been, quote, knock on wood, is just I know how the numbers work, and I'm good at manipulating it and this and that. But your research is top notch, Jim.
I'm honored to sit beside you, Pete.
Yeah.
And I just think this is a sweet spot.
And great comments from some of the people in these people really know their stuff, especially in the NBA and of course with football as well. So I'm very excited. I'll tell you in the NBA segments. What? Go ahead.
Al Hart has been begging for some low-hanging fruit. That's the fourth time he's
I
done
know
it.
the low-hanging fruit kind of just came with the MLB season. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, I could make an arrogant dickhead joke here and say every college football pick of mine is a low-hanging fruit.
Oh, there we go.
But I mean, no, you know, I mean, a low-hanging fruit pick, you know, in baseball was just basically a pick where I was like, I know that this is going to be like a 60% play, and it's proven to be true. I'm hitting 60% in college football this year, Jim. And actually, my picks in my picks that on my private accounts on that which has a lot more picks are even better, a little bit better than 60%, like 62%. So I don't know, man. The low hanging fruit thing was just something that came out, and hopefully it'll come back in some way organically. But you know, as of right now, that's about it. Let's wrap the show up. It's been another almost hour-long show. The grind continues, and we will. What day is today? It's Wednesday, right?
Yep.
We'll be back tomorrow for the Thursday show. Thanks everyone for tuning in.